Are you boring your webinar audience? Do you know that right now when we're running online events such as webinars, our audience has so many distractions, so many things that can take them away from focusing on you. So today I'm going to talk about how to engage and be engaging on your webinars. I'm actually going to give you nine tips on how you can be engaging in your webinars so that people don't drop off. Number one, when we are starting our webinar, when people are first jumping into our webinar room, have an opening slide. Share your screen and have an opening slide. Now, the opening slide should be the same design as your graphic for your promotion. Why? So that people know they're in the right place. The other way to start engagement right at the start is to use the chat function. In Zoom specifically, we can chat with people while they're in the waiting room and then chat with them as they come in. You can say hello, we can welcome them, we can even put an icebreaker into the chat. The other thing we can do at the very, very start as people are entering is use music. Music is such a good way to boost the mood and really start to engage people, show your personality and get them settled. And so at the very start, having an opening slide which has your branding and your graphic on it, playing some music and chatting to the audience will instantly gain engagement. While we're chatting, we can ask them questions like, where are you coming in from today? Or what did you have for breakfast? And really start to train our audience to use the chat. And it's a really good way to give those, 3 to 5 minute window between people jumping on, because most people tend to be late, and I find that usually it's between 3 to 5 minutes that most people will jump on to your webinar. So having an opening slide, having music and engaging in the chat are 3 ways to start engagement before we even start talking. Then what's a really good opportunity is to stop sharing your screen. So if you have slides, turn them off and start to engage with your audience by chatting to them. It's going to give the full screen of just your face, your expression, your tonality, and really help you to start having a chat and a conversation with your audience. So tip number 4 is stop share. Don't have your slides on the whole time. Now, the other thing is look at your audience. Now, it's really tempting to look at your screen and see, the faces of our audience. But that does not make our audience feel like we're looking at them. It makes it look like we're looking down. And so what we need to do is, especially when we've got something really important to deliver, look straight at the camera and speak directly to your audience. They will feel like you're looking them directly in the eye. So remember sometimes to stop sharing your screen and look at your audience. Next thing is body language. We know that 7% of our communication are the words we use, and the rest of it is body language, facial expressions, and tonality. So utilize these opportunities. Utilize your body language, use your hands, use your face. It's your best piece of real estate. Smile, engage with your audience, and think about how you're communicating. Think about your tonality. Are you appearing certain or you're appearing just nice and pleasing? And remember how you can use your tonality in order to engage effectively when we want to be likable and be really happy, or when we want to be convincing and we want to be certain. So that enables us to have body language. Now, the other thing we want to do is we want to change it up. Different people learn differently and people get bored really easily. So change it up. Think about changing your background, and you can change it throughout your webinar. Think about chatting. So, engage people in the chat. Sometimes engage people using voice and asking them to speak. Other ways you can engage is using a poll style system where we get someone to fill out a questionnaire. We can use Q&A options. Simple things we can do is create a workbook, send it to our audience and get them to engage with that workbook throughout our webinar, and use breakout rooms when appropriate. And see, what that will do is it will engage all the senses of our audience, but also support all the different learning styles: auditory, visual, kinesthetic, digital, and the crossover between those different learning styles. So really make sure that we change it up, and every about 15 to 20 minutes, change the way that you are engaging so that our audience doesn't get bored. Now, tip number 8 is instructions. We need to be very, very, very clear with our instructions. Tell people exactly what we need them to do and be very clear about it. Because when we are in a digital environment, people don't feel comfortable asking a question. And if they don't know what to do, they'll just disengage. And finally, use icebreakers to connect. Use icebreakers such as, what did you have for breakfast? Or pop your favorite emojis into the chat. Or where are you joining us from today? Using icebreakers like this not only connects our audience with themselves, it enables them to utilize something like the chat, so there's a change in the way that they are communicating, but it also helps them to connect with you, but also connect with each other and give a bit of that human element to the webinar and to each other. So they're not just random people in a digital Zoom room. We become real. When we know what somebody likes for breakfast, or what their emojis are like, or where even they live, it helps our audience to connect with each other. And that builds a bit of that team mentality, which really supports the connection and engagement in your webinar. So there we have it. 9 tips on how you can be engaging and support people from disconnecting, because there's things always around our house that totally tear us away. So make sure we have an opening slide. Make sure we use music at the start and throughout. Utilize the chat, especially at the start, to welcome people and to communicate with them, and then empower them to continue to use that function. Make sure that you stop sharing your slides every now and then so we can see your beautiful face. Look at your audience by looking at the camera. Use body language to be more exciting and more engaging. Make sure you change it up and use all different opportunities to help people learn, such as breakout rooms, polls, workbooks, etc. Be very clear on your instructions on what to do, and use icebreakers. So there you have it. 9 tips to help you be more engaging when you're running your webinar and not have people disconnect, because even though they're completely your webinar to be a success. So thank you very much for joining me for another Wednesday Wisdom video. As always, if you've enjoyed it, I'd love to see your comments, your chats. Please share this video, or if you've got any feedback or any questions, please do feel free to ask them. I will get to them in the response in the chat later on. And as always, remember, you were born to influence your industry. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an awesome time.